What up, everybody? The streets of Chicago are heating up in Power Book 4 Season 3, with Tommy taking out Marquez cartel shooter Mateo while on the phone with cartel boss Roberto Ortega, who he got locked up, pretty much mocking him while also letting him know that he was the reason why Ortega was in solitary confinement. Because of that, at the end of episode 2, the Marquez cartel hit back when they killed Chavo Cardina, boss of the DSDs, one of the gangs from the Coalition. As a result of that, everybody's strapping up in the episode 3 trailer preparing for a war with the cartel. Tommy gives Mireya a gun, letting her know that she needs to carry it with her because the streets are a little heated right now. This is after Tommy already got shot at with Mireya with him before he even mocked Ortega while in solitary confinement. So things have escalated to another level at this point to where Tommy is giving Mireya a gun to carry around. I would say it might be best for Tommy to send Mireya out of town for a minute during this war, but at the same time she's a civilian with a life and a job, so she can't just pick up and leave. In OG Power, Tommy gave Keisha a gun and she used it and caught a body in the same episode. So we'll see if the same thing happens with Tommy giving Mireya a gun. But in Power, the only reason Tommy gave Keisha a gun was because of his problems with Ghost, who would never have hurt Keisha. But with Mireya, the problem is a lot bigger, as Tommy's dealing with a pissed off cartel leader who doesn't care who he takes out. Because of that, Diamond is also strapping up CBI, as the trailer shows Diamond with Jannard with a couple guns on the trailer, and Jannard asking Diamond if they're getting ready to go to war. In addition to the couple guns on the table, Diamond also has a couple bags with him that are most likely filled with guns also. Keeping in mind that the Season 3 trailer shows Diamond standing over that same table with over 20 guns on it. After taking out Chavo Cardina, in episode 2 the Marquez cartel takes his body and drops it off somewhere for Diamond to find, as the trailer shows Diamond finding the body. And even though it doesn't show the person's face who it is, we know it's Chavo from the sweatshirt he was wearing when the Marquez cartel came for him. So because their leader got taken out as part of the Coalition, the DSDs are turning to Tommy to help them retaliate against the Marquez cartel. As Tommy tells the DSDs in regards to the Marquez cartel and taking out Chavo that if they come for one of them, they come for them all. And we know from what the guy from the DSDs is wearing in the trailer that this is also the same episode where Tommy throws a man off a balcony. So Tommy and the DSDs are going to come together to find somebody for the Marquez cartel, potentially somebody who was involved in taking out Chavo, or it might be whoever's running the cartel while Ortega's in prison. But they'll throw this guy off of a roof. In OG Power, Tommy bubble wrapped 2 men and threw them both off a roof, killing one man and showing his face to the other to send a message in the streets. Something that both Ghost and Julio thought was a reckless move. And we see Tommy definitely moving like his old self so far in Season 3, moving reckless when it comes to dealing with the Marquez cartel. All while they're trying to keep this all a secret from Che at the same time. Next, the trailer shows Stacy Marks saying that Egan is still out there and that she's never took her eyes off of him. But Stacy keeping her eyes on Egan means that she's taken her eyes off the ball, which should be landing the RICO case against the Marquez cartel and Claudia Flynn, because that's what the DNC wants her to do, as Donna Jackson from the DNC said they were about to officially announce that Stacy was running for mayor in episode 2. But Stacy has her eyes back on Tommy after letting Claudia Flynn gas her up in episode 2, telling her that she would be able to land the RICO case against the Marquez cartel with no problem, and that Tommy was the biggest gangster in the city and Claudia could help Stacy take him down. So Stacy thinks she has the drop on Tommy with both Vic and Claudia, not knowing Tommy's using Vic against her, and that he also likely took the clubs from Claudia, knowing that she would try to give Stacy information on him as well. while the episode 3 trailer shows that both Vic and Claudia are gonna have problems this episode. It shows Vic in Claudia's apartment with his gun drawn at somebody. It doesn't show who he has his gun drawn at in this scene, but because he's at Claudia's apartment, it might be Elise or somebody Elise is with, because Elise was in Claudia's apartment in episode 2. The trailer also shows Tommy warning Vic and telling him when he can't use him anymore that he's done. Well, it looks like Claudia is going to have some serious problems in episode 3 as she's back in general population and coming face to face with the same girl that stabbed her at the end of season 2, potentially ready to finish what she started. While it also shows another girl eyeing Claudia as she's on the phone with somebody telling them that she's dead in there without their help. This is obviously Claudia scared for her life, knowing that Tommy has people coming for her on the inside, while on the phone with either Stacy Marks, trying to get put in protective custody, or on the phone with the Marquez cartel lawyer Chan, trying to see if they can get somebody to protect her while she's locked up. But for Stacy, keeping Claudia Flynn alive should be one of her top priorities, right under keeping Ortega alive. Because the fact that Mirkovich has already got taken out, and if another one of her defendants in this case gets taken off the board, that's not going to be a good look for a lady who's running for mayor. And as I started out this video talking about how Mireya and CBI are all getting strapped up for protection against the Marquez cartel, there's another crew that's getting strapped up in the trailer as well, and that's D-Mac and his crew of young boys getting strapped up so they can get into some trouble. After D-Mac hit the lick at the crap game in Chinatown in episode 2 and spent some of the money on a sports bike, he likely spent some of the other money he got from that robbery on guns, and that's likely the guns that D-Mac and his crew are getting ready in the trailer. Also notice that D-Mac has 2 new members of his crew other than Marshall, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of these kids or both of them end up getting killed messing around with D-Mac and Marshall. I can't tell what they're getting into exactly, but the trailer shows D-Mac telling Marshall that he's in. And then a scene with Marshall and D-Mac with their guns and getting ready to put a ski mask on, as they ultimately end up shooting at a car that passes by that ends up exploding. From one of the season 3 teasers, it looks like it could have been either Vic or Bobby DeFranco who they were shooting at. But because it's still only episode 3 and Vic still has more scenes from the trailers, we know that it's definitely not Vic, and DeFranco who was telling Vic that Tommy was a lone wolf in the trailer, so we know for sure that it wasn't him either. That's assuming whoever they're shooting at ends up dying. I guess it could have been one of them if the person they're shooting at survives. With that said, it does look like it's a cop who they're shooting at also, but it might could be a security guard that they're shooting at so they can pull another lick. Episode 3 is titled, There's Always a Price to Pay, and the description reads, as Tommy does damage control with allies, Diamond and Jannard devise a plan to deal with D-Mac, and Vic plots his next move. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.